My name is Average Joe, and I'm a proud geek with expertise in movies, superheroes, and animation.
And my name is Pixel Patch. I'm a joyful geek with an expertise in gaming, both tabletop and video.
Our mission is to bring nerd culture to the masses.
And by sticking it all under the microscope.
Welcome to the Bat Jar Podcast.
Movies, TV, manga, comic books, or is that graphic novels, cartoons, groups, that's animation, Disney, Star Wars, Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon, and Digimon, and Mighty Morphin, Power Rangers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Nintendo, Cinematic Universes, Marvel, DC, Justice League, is Batman, leads with Superman, Flash, Wonder Woman, Avengers, Iron Man, Captain Flash, Loki, Spider-Man, and Hulk, and Logan, X-Men, Battlers, Allen, Galaxy, Guardians, Star Trek, Prick, Trick, Card, and Janeway, Nerds and Geeks come gather around and join them in the Big Bad Jar, Average Joe and Pixel Patch, they peek under the microscope.
Hello there, and welcome to the Bat Jar Podcast, where we put nerd culture under the microscope.
More like we should put our cultures under the microscope because, my goodness, Average Joe and myself are super sick. I have a long-running, month-long bout of bronchitis, and Average Joe has come down with something or other.
Yeah, let's go with that. Something or other.
Something or other. I think that covers everything.
Pretty much.
If it's something or other, it's everything.
Yeah.
You have every disease. Congratulations. How's it feel?
But it's fine. You know, I'm just going to sound a little more manly than I normally do.
And I will also drop my voice in the
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, there you go.
And I'm pretty sure you can't get sick like through audio, so just you guys listening, you're not going to like catch what we have.
No,
so.
you can just enjoy it. You can enjoy looking in on the bubble of the sad state of our bodies.
Well, there you go. First an apology. Not only did we record outside of our regular location last week, but we used a different computer. In hindsight, I didn't look over properly because it completely changed the sound of the episode.
It did.
It kind of made it sound like we were like talking through a
gramophone.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Anyway, hopefully it all sounds better this week. I mean, we don't sound the best, but
yeah. So step 1, audio quality first. Step 2, fix our bodies.
yes, yeah.
Cybernetic enhancements.
Priorities are the priorities for sure.
Yeah. My health can take a backseat for now.
It's kind of funny that we're talking about a Pokemon thing today because longtime listeners of the show might remember that Pixel's first appearance on our podcast was to talk about Pokemon.
That's right. Oh man, that is a throwback.
So here we go. We're
simpler time.
Yes. So we're returning to the origins of Pixel's appearances on the podcast.
And I haven't seen the movie, but I've heard really good things about it, so I'm excited to hear and discuss the contents of the movie from someone who's going to be going in blind.
Well, before we talk about the movie, we got to go to the news.
Oh, very nice. What do we got this week?
Okay, so Mark Wahlberg has joined the cast of the animated theatrical Scooby-Doo movie.
Oh, okay. It's animated?
Yes, it's animated.
We're good. I am okay with Marky Mark on board with Scooby-Doo. That is pretty good stuff.
The second thing we can talk about, the new trailer for Spider-Man Far From Home.
Okay. Yeah, I've already discussed it a lot, so we'll see.
And the third thing we talk about, Disney has announced its release schedule going up till 2027.
No, I'm good. Thanks. I'm okay.
Spoiler alert, 4 Avatars.
Oh, no, why?
And a new Star Wars trilogy.
All right, well, I'm going to go hide now. Yeah, let's go with the good stuff. Marky Mark and Scooby-Doo.
So it's been announced for a while now that there's going to be a new theatrical Scooby-Doo movie.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to hear lots of sneezing and coughing, so just accept it.
All of the effusions.
I was actually a fan of the live-action Scooby-Doo movies.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I was a kid at the time, so yeah, I enjoyed them. But looking back now, it's kind of painful. They did a good job catching the characters' designs, but I definitely enjoyed, I think, movie 1 more than movie 2.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that.
Yeah,
because the first live-action film did a lot of poking fun at the kind of like the cliche nature of the animated series.
Right.
Whereas the second one, Monsters Unleashed, was just kind of like an episode of the show. But
yeah, pretty much.
I've enjoyed a lot of Scooby-Doo media over the years. People kind of criticize it for being repetitive and simplistic, and
sometimes you need that. Like, I don't know, why do people watch The Office?
Oh!
Shots fired.
I think the biggest question I often get about Scooby-Doo is how did those 4 people become friends? Because they seem like totally different people.
That's always a huge question for me. I'm assuming, well, okay, Shaggy can basically fit into any group. That kind of makes sense. Velma and Daphne were probably friends in high school, and then Daphne and the Jocks kind of thing. Like, that's as close as I can get it.
Yeah.
Like,
You know, there's a lot of TV shows actually where like people who are seemingly very different are somehow really good friends.
yeah. So there you
Which
go.
is not reflective of my upbringing, but whatever. It's the media.
Go Gadget Media.
So they've already previously announced a lot of the main cast for this movie.
Okay.
Would you like to hear that before?
I would love to hear that, actually.
So Frank Welker, the very famous voice actor, is returning as Scooby-Doo.
Very nice.
Will Forte, do you know who that is?
I know the name, but I don't know why.
He was like on that show, The Last Man on Earth.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
He's going to be Shaggy.
That could be interesting. Yeah, I can see that.
Zac Efron
Oh, what?
is Fred.
Really?
Yep.
Interesting.
Amanda Seyfried.
Don't know her.
She was in Mamma Mia.
I haven't seen it.
She was in Mean Girls.
Haven't seen it.
What?
Yeah, I know.
No, she's Daphne.
Haven't seen Gilmore Girls either. But
Gina Rodriguez, the star of Jane the Virgin,
don't know it.
the new Carmen Sandiego.
Oh, yeah. 100%. She's got a great voice.
She's Velma.
Okay. Awesome.
Tracy Morgan
Nope.
from 30 Rock.
Nope.
You'd recognize him if you saw him. He's like Tracy Morgan.
Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah, no. I haven't seen 30. I realized there's a lot of TV shows I haven't seen, but mostly because they didn't.
Well, he's playing Captain Caveman.
What?
And Ken Jeong,
Don't know him.
the Asian guy from Community.
Oh,
Senor
okay.
Chen-
Oh,
Chang.
Senor Chang. Okay, let's just call him Chang from now on.
He's playing Dynamite, which
Which
is like the superhero dog character from the Hanna-Barbera cartoon universe.
interesting. Okay, that's gonna be. I can see him pulling that off. Oh my gosh, yeah.
So now, here we're doubling down. We got Mark Wahlberg is adding this already interesting cast of characters.
Who is he?
He's playing the Blue Falcon. Have you ever heard of the Blue Falcon?
Another superhero?
He is another Hanna-Barbera superhero.
Okay.
Who has crossed over with Scooby-Doo in the past.
Oh my gosh, and he's got that like face mask. It's like the black face mask, and then it goes into blue at the top, and
I think so.
Yeah. Okay, I know him.
And then they've also announced that Jason Isaacs is going to be in the movie.
Don't know him.
He played Draco Malfoy's dad in Harry Potter.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
He's going to be the villain.
This is really a star-studded cast, and it's going to be voice acting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So so Jason Isaacs, aka what's his name? Something Malfoy.
Not Draco. Lucius.
Lucius Malfoy.
Yeah.
He's playing a villain named Dick Dastardly.
Oh my gosh. Are you the villain? I don't know. Please call me Richard. Richard Dastard.
Dastardly.
No. It's got to be a little bit more subtle at the beginning, and then there's like Dick Dastardly. Yeah.
Okay, so hearing all these actors that are involved, are you excited?
I
for this
am
movie?
excited. Yeah, like I feel about as excited as I was when they announced the new DuckTales voice cast lineup. Like, that was a star-studded cast. They were going back to animated. It looked like they put a lot of care into it. I'd have to see a visual reel, because once again, if you put like really weird 3D visuals, or if you don't do it properly, it like no amount of voice acting could save it. But that sounds amazing. Yeah.
Do you have a character you're most excited for? Is it
Shaggy, always, just because he's the most ridiculous character. I'm wondering if they'll make Fred a little bit more three-dimensional. But yeah, no, I'm just excited to see the interplay between the characters. Like,
and you're okay with Mark Wahlberg being in the mix?
oh heck yeah. He's a really fun voice actor, and plus he's Catholic, so yeah.
Has he done any voice acting?
I think he's done one, but I can't think of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I would have preferred if they had just kept the cast from the animated shows to play like the main characters. Like most recently, Matthew Lillard, who played Shaggy in the live-action movies, has been the voice of Shaggy.
Oh, okay. And he's been doing that on for the newer cartoons?
Yeah. And
Oh, wow. Jeez.
But they're going with bigger names here, which is just whatever.
I think they're just trying to draw in more of a crowd. Like, we talked about it because, hey, Mark Wahlberg's in it. Like, it made the news, so maybe it's a successful gambit. Like,
Yeah, but you can put like when the My Little Pony movie came out, they cast celebrities in like guest roles, and they maintained the main cast who were all like TV voice actors.
Oh, okay.
So I'd be happy with Mark Wahlberg continue to be the Blue Falcon, but keep Matthew Lillard as Shaggy. I don't want to see Will Forte do it.
That makes sense. All right, yeah. No, I can see that.
But despite that complaint, I am excited for this movie as well. It's opening up May 2020. So this is next year.
Oh, wow. Okay. There's a lot of stuff coming out next year.
Yep.
Although, I don't know, Samurai Gun comes out this year, so this is my big year.
What's Samurai Gun?
It's this 4-player beat 'em up game that you're just...
Oh, that's a video game.
Yeah.
That's we're talking about movies right now. But
maybe it is a movie.
okay. Well, that's a good segue because we're talking about something today that was indeed a video game.
Yep.
And then became a movie.
For 30 years now, give or take?
20... Going back to the 90s is what, 20 years?
Well, 96 or 98? What are we talking about? Because if it's 96...
the Pokemon... You're talking about like the original Pokemon games?
Yeah.
I think those were released in like 95 in Japan.
Oh, okay. So yeah, 20 years. Coming on their 25th year anniversary.
Yeah. So next year in 2020. But
That's going to be crazy.
here we go. We're talking about the new film, Pokemon Detective Pikachu.
And it is apparently really good. Like, I'm excited to hear about it because people said it had a lot of heart and it did what a lot of video game movies just could not, and just built a really nice story and really, really good time. So.
Well, let's not get too ahead of ourselves.
Oh,
First
no,
of all,
I'm just, this is initial reactions. Like, I know nothing. So.
Okay, well, first of all, what is your history with Pokemon? You mentioned last week you played some of the games growing up.
So I grew up at the beginning of Pokemon. So never got into the trading cards. Because I'm a big board gamer, the trading cards just didn't have a complex enough system for me to enjoy. Like Magic the Gathering is really good. Android Netrunner is a really good trading card game. Like, there's games with really good systems, and for some reason, big intellectual properties never get game systems right. This is changing, however, but I won't go into that. But Pokemon, the video game, was right up my alley. I love RPGs. I love grinding and leveling up. Watched the TV show as a kid. Enjoyed games here and there. And now that the newest game, Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield, are coming to the Switch, boom! I have that system. I'm gonna buy it. It's the first high-powered system receiving a Pokemon game.
I think I watched the anime show first. It was what would have been I was like you. I grew up in the midst of the Pokemon mania that it was, and I think I was exposed to the show first, and then the trading cards, and then I knew people who had the video game with the Game Boy.
Nice.
And then I remember getting Pokemon Silver, which is like the second generation of Pokemon.
Yep.
And that was really the only game I ever played all the way through.
Oh, nice. How did it end? How did you enjoy it?
It was fun because you not only, like in Silver, you could not only play through your classic, your Silver map with your region, but then you could also go back and do the 8 cities from the first game.
Oh, nice.
So like once you were finished playing essentially the new game, you could essentially go back and play the older game.
That's super cool. That's a great way to package it.
Which had all the locations I was familiar with from the TV show. So.
Right. So you go into the Kanto region and you're like, let's go party.
Yeah, so, but I never continued. It's kind of like I don't know if my attention was just drawn away from that style of video game.
Mm-hmm.
I was more interested in like kind of action adventure games.
Yeah, and same here. Like, once again, like turn-based Japanese RPGs definitely had more story to them, which I started to enjoy a lot more. Like things like Chrono Trigger and Super Mario RPG were coming out at the time, and they had so much more to offer than the Pokemon series, which was really, really focused on like its competitive and its tournament play. Like, I think if I got into that, I would have kept up with it. But yeah, no, like I think I would have picked up Sun and Moon if I had a DS. But now that Sword and Shield are coming out for the Switch, that'll be my jump back in.
Yeah, and I definitely fell away from Pokemon. I remember watching the TV show all the way.
A fallen away Pokemon player?
Yeah, I remember staying with the show until they were pretty much done with the Johto region.
Okay, nice.
And then just, I think part of why I stopped watching the show is because they kept coming out with more games and like more new Pokemon, and
you're just like, no, I'm good with knowing all the Pokemon and having a complete encyclopedic knowledge.
Yeah, and it started to become overwhelming, and then I'm assuming other things must have started taking my interest because like I said, I kind of fell away, if you will. And
come back to the fold.
When Pokemon Go came out a few years ago, like I played it initially for about a month, and I kind of gave up.
Yeah, that's about everyone's reaction. Actually, I'm really proud. I picked it back up about last year, and I played it enough to get the original 151 Kanto region Pokemon. So I have a full Pokedex for the first time ever of any Pokemon game.
Well done.
Yeah, I was really happy with that.
When did you first hear about the Detective Pikachu game?
Oh my gosh.
Because you told us last week you haven't played it.
Yeah, no, I haven't played it, but I heard about it like years ago, probably a month before I heard about the movie, because like the game was just being discussed, and I was like, oh, that's a different way to do it. It felt like Professor Layton without the puzzles, and just like this odd storyline that you could follow as Detective Pikachu.
Yeah, so Detective Pikachu is indeed a video game, and it's not the first Pokemon game that's like a spin-off of the main storyline.
Yeah.
But it's one of the most recent ones.
Yeah. And decently successful?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, I looked at like sales figures, but I have no idea like what is good for a video game these days.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But it was apparently the idea of, because part of the game of Detective Pikachu is a talking Pikachu.
Right.
And apparently the idea of having a talking Pikachu was first developed for the anime series, but the people producing the anime couldn't come up with an explanation for why Pikachu would talk that Game Freak, the company that produces the Pokemon games,
we're happy with?
Yeah. So it was kind of scrapped for the TV show.
And who was the original voice actor for the Detective Pikachu video game? Was it Danny DeVito?
No, the joke is that when it was announced that the game would be released in the West,
Yeah.
that there was a petition started to get Danny DeVito to play the part.
Oh, okay.
And like 40,000 people, I should say, signed the petition, but Danny DeVito, when it was like brought to his attention, like declined to audition because he had no idea what it was.
Son of a gun.
But if you play the English dub of Detective Pikachu, the Detective Pikachu has like this kind of like New York detective accent, which is so strange because Pikachu, you know, you're just like Pika Pika, like this like cute little.
And then you're like, she came into the darkened room while I was smoking my cigarettes. I was like, all right, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, certainly didn't say that kind of stuff, but that's the voice he had.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was.
Are you saying you're a real detective?
I'm not just a detective. I'm a great detective. Detective Pikachu. Bolts of brilliance. We can do this, partner. I'm the brains and you are the brawn.
This coffee smells so good.
Pikachu! Thunderbolt! Hey, don't boss me around.
Why does Minchino keep looking at me?
And that's sort of what intrigued me. As I remember I was like scrolling through, I think it was Anime News Network, and it was released internationally in March 2018. So the game itself has only been available to us for about a year.
Okay, that makes sense.
And I remember seeing like, what is this? Like Pikachu's wearing a detective hat and he's talking with a New York accent. Like it's very strange. And I never thought anything of it. Somewhere around that time, they announced that they were making this movie. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what the heck? This is like, what kind of world do we live in where they're going to make a Pokemon movie about this Detective Pikachu
This
thing?
talking Pikachu. It's like, why would you make a movie about this spin-off series? It's like, are we going to have a Pokemon Snap movie next? I think that was like the original reactions. Like, why don't we just make a Pokemon Stadium movie? But, however.
I'd watch that.
Yeah.
So I was very skeptical of this movie when it was first announced.
Very skeptical of the spectacle?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then not long after they announced that Ryan Reynolds would be the voice of Detective Pikachu.
And once he actually started doing the voice-over bits, and especially since I've seen Deadpool, like it just made so much sense. It was just the right kind of funny for the script.
Well, I was certainly confused because like the clips I'd seen from the game, he was like the New York detective guy, and I'm like, that doesn't sound like Ryan Reynolds at all. So it was just it kind of caught my attention because it was so bizarre. It's like not only is there going to be a live action Pokemon movie, and like that's a whole thing.
Yep.
And it's also going to be this detective game thing. That's a second thing. And now we got Ryan Reynolds in here, which is like a third thing. So much bizarreness. And I was very skeptical that it was going to be any good until that first trailer came out.
Yep.
I think everyone was blown away by the movie when the first trailer came out.
There just seemed to be a good story, like proper care put into it. It just looked high quality.
And the Pokemon looked incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've never really given much thought to what Pikachu would look like in live action because when you're looking at something that's drawn in 2D animation, you don't think about, well, what would this look like if it had fur on it or whatever.
Mm-hmm. And so I think I did remember hearing there was someone about 5 years ago that was making Pokemon in real life images. So there's like a lot of these like hyper realistic drawings of like Charizard and like Pikachu and stuff like that. and I think they were brought on as a consultant for some of the 3D designs.
Really?
Yeah, which is super, super cool. And if you look at her original designs, you can actually see some of the, especially Charizard, super close to the design in the movie.
That's pretty cool because I was kind of bought in just from that one trailer. I was like, wow, these Pokemon look amazing. It's like this is, if they could somehow transpose these weird animals into live action, this is what it would look like. And the trailer was funny.
Yeah.
That was the other part. I was like, there's actually funny moments in here that make me want to see this movie.
I think my favorite trailer moment out of all three of them is just like, it's not an addiction. I can stop when I want. I just like coffee. 2 cups of espresso, black as night. Thank you, dearie. And then the whatever Pokemon is screams its name in the shop. And I was like, that would be not only disconcerting, but frightening. But that was a great scene.
According to the director of this film, Rob Letterman, they spent a year designing all the Pokemon.
Oh, wow. Nice. Yeah.
And he recently commented on this again when the criticism of the Sonic movie came out.
Yeah.
Basically saying like there's no way they're going to be able to actually meet the release date if they redesign the character and all the scenes because they spent a year crafting the way their Pokemon were going to look.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, we'll see. Got to fix fast.
Let's talk about this whole video game curse thing because there has never really been a good movie adaptation of a video game.
No, so fans have done better jobs of adapting video games into short films than large companies have done in adapting video games into full films. So like Assassin's Creed, they get the costumes right, they get the story wrong. Some places they get the story a little bit well, but the design is all over the place. Like it's just, you can never have a fitting set of, like it's that triangle. So if you make it cheap and quick, it's not going to be good. If you make it good and quick, it's not going to be cheap, kind of thing. Like they're always missing a part of this design triangle for some reason.
Yeah, like the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Oh man,
that's like the most, I would say, the most infamous.
Yeah.
In terms of just, it's like, what were they thinking?
It's just this weird underground. Like, go and rent the Super Mario Bros. Movie, guys. Like, just enjoy a night of a bad movie with your family, and see how far we've come. Like, it's terrifying.
But even recently, like you mentioned, Assassin's Creed, Prince of Persia, there's all kinds of video game movies that have not done well.
And I think the main thing is they don't focus on building a story in the world of the video game. They try to adapt all the fun things of the video game into a story.
I would say it's like impossible. Like they've been talking about like a Last of Us movie for a while now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Which that would be doable. That would be more doable.
But even I haven't played that game. But from what I understand, it's a story that kind of spans out over many, many hours. So to try and what you often try to do is condense it all into a 2-hour movie, and then you lose a lot.
Yeah. So I think the condensing makes sense. Like Metroid, you play that game for about 40 hours, and it's a emerging storyline. You're not going to get the same feel from, you have to do this big old story drop at the beginning for this people who haven't played the game. You have to put in a whole bunch of like made up stuff in order to make some things make sense so that you can get to the movie. Like it's tough.
Yeah. So then that could be a whole conversation about just how bad some of these video game movies have been. But even to make if you were to try and directly adapt any single Pokemon game, that involves traveling to 8 different cities and battling 8 different gym leaders and going through these side quests.
And then Team Rocket is thrown in. Like, that's already a 3-hour movie, and it would be terrible. Like, they'd have to do smash cuts of, like, a whole bunch of different gym battles, and they'd have, like, this extended first gym fight, and then they'd smash cut, like, 4 or 5 gyms, cut another gym in that's like was a harder fight for him, smash cut a few more, and then get to the end. Like
that. There's a reason why the Pokemon anime series is as long running as it is, because it's granted that's a little slow in how they like the spacing of the story, but it takes the story of the game and makes it hundreds of episodes.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, with understanding that the video game curse exists and that video game movies have generally been received poorly, done poorly, I think doing something like Detective Pikachu, that is essentially a self-contained story, makes a lot of sense.
And it's the way that should be done. Like, you should just build a story set in that universe and bring in small bits and pieces as needed. But, don't tell a Pokemon story. Tell a story that has Pokemon in it.
So speaking of that, the critics.
All right. Let's
What do you think? What do you think they're saying?
I mean, I know now that it's well received. And like a nostalgia, I'm going to go with maybe 70%.
So the tomato meter is currently sitting at 63%.
Oh, wow. That's lower than I thought. Okay.
That was lower than what I was hoping for
Yeah.
sure. Audience score is currently 86%.
That makes more sense.
So this is once again an instance where audiences who saw the movie had a higher impression of it than the critics.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into this, but I think the biggest fault of the Detective Pikachu movie is that the story is very simple.
Oh, okay.
So I can see from movie critic point of view, if they have no attachment to Pokemon and they're just watching this and critiquing it on the story, then naturally it's going to score lower.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense then. Okay, yeah. So it's just like a straightforward story, the normal twists and turns.
Yeah, but it has an A- from the cinema score, which means that, again, that's one of the higher grades that people can give a movie, and that means that essentially like people leaving the theater had positive things to say about Detective Pikachu.
Which I've seen time and time again online. So, it's doing good.
So we don't have final numbers for the weekend's box office, but do you want to take a crack at guessing how it's doing?
I accidentally saw that it had beat Endgame's opening day. So I know it has at least made $20 million. So I'm going to say that it's made $40 million so far.
Yeah, so you're right to say the estimates for Friday show it made $20.7 million,
Wowza.
which finished just above Endgame's score for that Friday because Endgame made $16 million.
Right.
So the original projections on Box Office Mojo said that Avengers was still going to come out on top this weekend.
Right.
And then Pokemon would be second. But with those Friday numbers in showing that actually Pokemon made more than Avengers, it's suggesting now that, that Detective Pikachu will open somewhere between $55 and $60 million.
Wow. That's actually...
So that's a little bit more than what Shazam made a little while ago.
Okay.
But it's not nearly, of course, like even what Captain Marvel made.
Yeah.
That made like $155 million.
Yowza. All right.
So does that surprise you that it's opening about 50, 60 million?
The opening strength was surprising. I thought it would get more traction as it kind of went along if it was good. And now that I know that it is good, like I definitely want to go see it. But that's super surprising.
So as expensive as it probably was to make all these Pokemon, hopefully
they'll get their money back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they've got a pretty good chance of it. I don't know how funding works for movies. Like that's got to be a super complex. Like, all right, you've paid all these people with maybe loaned out money. Let's see if you make it back. Like, and who does that money go to? So.
Well, very simply, the production companies, so like the ones who get their logos on stuff, they're the ones who are financing the film.
Nice.
And the major studios like Warner Brothers or Disney, depending on how much money they put into it, they might choose to only distribute the film. In other words, they're only paying for the putting of the movie in the theaters.
Right.
And so they're going to get a smaller cut. But if it's a movie like actually produced by the studio, then they get a bigger cut. And the more producers a movie has, the more financial stakeholders it has.
Right.
So I'm assuming it's negotiated in their contracts as to like what percentage of everything goes to what person.
Man, that's crazy. All right.
And I do know that in China, only 25% of the box office comes back to the makers of the movie.
Wow.
So,
oh my gosh.
There you go. I don't know what the arrangements are in other countries, but I'm assuming because China's a communist country, that's the policy they have there.
It was just very stringent. Yeah.
But and then apparently, I think I also heard someone say that, like a portion of the revenue stays with the movie theaters.
Oh, okay.
So whether that's 40 or 50%, I can't remember.
Makes sense. They'd have to keep something.
Yeah. All right, so I'll have to do the story mode because you haven't seen the film.
Yeah, so let's hear it. What's the neat and gritty? I can't speak.
Okay.
You can hear him, right?
Pika Pika! Yeah, Pika Pika Pika, he's adorable.
You're adorable. They can't understand me, kid.
Can no one else hear him? I don't need a Pokemon.
Then what about a world-class detective? Because if you want to find your pops, I'm your best bet.
What is that?
Silent but deadly. Apologies, my tummy's bad from all the coffee.
Pokemon Detective Pikachu.
Well, so the movie stars a guy named Tim Goodman.
Some who call him Tim?
Tim. Yeah, that's his name.
Perfect.
He's a 21-year-old insurance salesman who wanted to be a Pokemon trainer as a kid, but kind of gave up on his dream. And he's summoned to this city called Ryan City. It's a city we've never seen in the Pokemon games or the anime before. It's kind of like a new uncharted territory. And in Ryan City, Pokemon and humans live in harmony. It's kind of like Zootopia.
As opposed to everywhere else where they don't?
Where they, live in Pokeballs.
Oh, okay. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, there's no Pokeballs in Ryan City.
Oh, nice. All right.
And he's summoned to Ryan City because his father, who's a detective, has gone missing. He's presumed dead. And Tim, by kind of like looking around, discovers a Pikachu who has amnesia and
can talk.
And he can. It's not that the Pikachu can talk, but that Tim can understand him. So like other people who hear that Pikachu speak hear Pika Pika Pika.
Right.
And then Tim hears Ryan Reynolds.
So now, did they get the voice actor for Pikachu in the anime to do the Pika Pikas? Okay. Nice.
Yes. So this Pikachu who claims to be a master detective and Tim go on this adventure to basically find out what happened to Tim's father and why is his father missing.
Ah, interesting.
Spoilers, it's a mystery.
It's a detective mystery.
Now,
right.
when I was watching the movie, I couldn't help but think of Zootopia because first of all, Ryan City, as I just said, is not from any of the games.
Right.
So not only are they choosing to tell a story that's very tertiarily related to the games and the anime, but they're kind of like making up their own little world within the Pokemon world.
Just to make it easier to tell that story kind of thing.
Yeah.
Does it feel like New York? Does it feel like Neo Yokio from Big Hero 6?
It's kind of hard to say because I guess I use Zootopia as an example because like the city of Zootopia, it shows how essentially all these different creatures live in the same place and they all kind of like have different little neighborhoods and communities and whatnot. And so like in Ryan City, the Pokemon have jobs.
Oh.
So like there's Squirtles who are firefighters and there's a Machamp who's like directing traffic.
That's so weird. Okay, cool.
And it's, I mean, we've seen that before in, at least in the Pokemon anime, like, Pokemon having jobs.
Yeah.
But it was a really weird experience to like see the Pokemon like as just ordinary citizens basically.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the Zootopia comparison comes in because in Zootopia it's supposed to be about all these different creatures, animals
coming together
and living in harmony.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
So I thought it was very strategic for them to tell a story like that because it essentially allows them to not be too attached to the lore of Pokemon.
Right, so they can just be like, this is a new city, we do things different. That's the explanation.
Yeah. I've heard people on YouTube describe it as a kind of a cross between Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Blade Runner.
Okay, I can see that. Okay, that makes sense.
The Blade Runner really comes in because it's mostly set at night, and a lot of the scenes are very filled with neon lights.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a detective story like Blade Runner. It's not nearly as dark or
what?
bleak.
We don't see some like horrible torturing and some
no, but
oh, okay.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit? I'm sure you're familiar with that movie.
Yep.
Okay, for people who have never heard of it, give a very brief synopsis of that movie.
Basically, you've got like cartoon characters are living in people's day-to-day lives. So like I'll go to the office and like one of my coworkers will just be this cartoon character. So it's like, all right, cool, what's going on? But then you find out later on that someone finds a way to kill cartoon characters and there's this whole panic and like people are freaking out. It's just like this weird eclectic mix of reality and unreality.
And that's basically what Ryan City feels like in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
One YouTuber I follow, his channel is called Mother's Basement.
Okay.
And he talked about how he enjoyed how the world of Detective Pikachu, the movie, didn't really have any product placement, aside from the obvious product placement of the actual Pokemon.
Right.
But you don't see any like Starbucks coffee or any franchises that exist. That's like everything feels
inside the Pokemon universe.